everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're coming to you from the beautiful Kenai River here in South Central Alaska. And what we're doing today is we're taking the Canon RF 200-800 brand new lens from Canon. We're pairing it this time with a full frame camera, the Canon R5. What we're going to do is we're going to show you how it performs with autofocus, what the images look like, and what that focal range looks like, and what the autofocus does with this camera. And with the R7, it worked out great, worked really good. So I'm expecting good things from this Canon R5. So let's talk about it. This is so cool. What I've got here today is I've got a bunch of trumpeter swans out here on the Kenai River, and they're here every year in the winter, and they like this stretch of river and into the lake because it's fairly shallow. It's got a lot of stuff at the bottom they can break apart. And it's really fun to watch them because they'll just stomp their feet on the bottom. It looks like they're kind of just dancing on top of the water, but they're actually stomping on the bottom to break up all the stuff to get down there and eat it, all the little stuff they like to eat off the bottom. It's really, really cool. And this water on this river is just gorgeous. It's got a turquoise color tint to it from all the glacier that comes in here that feeds this river and out of the lake. And in the winter, you get this really cool blue shine to it when it gets a little bit of wind action like it is right now, because it's getting kind of windy right now. Earlier and yesterday it was a lot calmer and smoother water, so it's really nice. But these swans, there's probably a couple dozen up here up and down the river. This 800 millimeters in this lens is just fantastic. I love it. I usually work in that 400 to 1000 anyway, and a lot of times I put teleconverters by 500 f4 or things like that. But to have this just no teleconverters at 800 millimeters at f9, that's a great depth of field, especially what I'm doing here. The distance to these birds, it's getting the full bird from where I'm shooting them. Just love it, just love it. So I'm going to move a little bit and set up on some more birds, and I'll talk to you a little bit. But this lens, I couldn't be happier with it so far. But let's go get some more and enjoy this footage on my way over, and I'll talk to you in a minute. Tell you what, this water is just so gorgeous and magical out here on the Kenai River. Just amazing. Makes for really good photography when you've got something framed up well. But wouldn't you know it, when I've got several days to really work with this, testing this out and just like when I was down in Homer, but even more so now, is the weather and the light is just not cooperating. It's been hovering between single digits to around 30, so sometimes it'll rain, sometimes it'll just snow, but it has been overcast, just like what you can see above me, and gray every day. Oh, super low light. To be honest with you, it's conditions that a lot of people just won't go out and shoot in. I'm just too stupid to quit, and I just find a way to get the light that I need. And that leads us into, you know, this 200-800, because it's f9. And, you know, in low light, it's going to struggle because of, you know, the amount of light and the shutter speed. I say struggle if you need to shoot something fast. What I've got here today, it's not real fast, because I can even get down to 1/160th a second to shoot these swans and these ducks and stuff I have here. But if they start to kick or do stuff like that, I need to bump it up to 800 or 1000 on the, you know, the shutter speed. But a lot of times I can get away with, you know, 640, 800 on that. But the depth of field, the f9 is not bad, but you have to look at your ISO, because yes, the lower you get your ISO, the cleaner you can get an image, but with all this new software and these new mirrorless cameras and everything, you can shoot that higher ISO. So this lens, I mean, it's dark right now, guys. There's just no light. With my naked eye, I've got tufted ducks and mallards sitting right out here from me, probably 35 yards, and they just look black to me with my naked eye. The swans, I can see the white of them, but they look kind of gray. That's how dark it is out here right now. So this lens, to be able to do what I'm doing with it and with the mirrorless bodies, is just astonishing. To be able to get down to 1/60th a second on shutter speed or 2/50th a second and shoot and get good images is just incredible with these new mirrorless bodies and the image stabilization of this lens. All the video I've shot on this and the stills and everything has been handheld. Now, of course, sometimes I may have it sitting on the ground, or, you know, I'll brace it on my knee and my hand. I'll use myself or the ground as a tripod, but it's all been handheld like this the whole time. No gimbal, no tripod work whatsoever on this video you got here of all the footage you're seeing. But it's done really well. But yes, lenses that are going to be 6.3 plus, when you're indoors, when you're on days like today, or even like I go to the Sea Life Center if I want to go back in the bird aviary, we have some really cool birds. They're tough to shoot. You've got to shoot a really high ISO or a really low shutter speed, one of the two. You got to find your gimbal in there somewhere. But from the image you'll see here, still does great if you really know how to work your light with the exposure triangle and what to do. Just incredible, just incredible. So everything's kind of moved on away from me here, so I'm going to move to another spot and we'll talk a little bit more about this lens and this camera, the combination of the two, that is. Talk to you in a minute. So cool out here. Kind of tucked myself back here behind this old fallen tree to kind of mask myself from these birds and stuff out here. And when I was walking over, I found the coolest thing. I found some lynx tracks coming through here, and that looked like they're probably from yesterday, because it did rain a little bit yesterday evening, because I could tell they're a little iced over, and I didn't see them out here yesterday when I was out here. And then I found some fox tracks coming out of these woods back this way. So what I'm going to have to do is another day, I'm going to have to come out here and just sit all day long, kind of spot like I am here, just see if I see anything coming out of the wood line. That'd be cool to catch a lynx and all this snow and stuff, it'd be awesome. Or a fox, just incredible. The Kenai River is just an incredible place, not only for fishing when you come up here in the summer and stuff, but there's so much wildlife up and down. There's owls, eagles, all kinds of raptors, hawks. You got your swans, your ducks, moose, lynx, fox, you name it. Wolves. There are wolves down through here too, to this part of in South Central here, down by the Kenai Peninsula. Just incredible. But what I'm going to talk about now is the autofocus, the Canon R5 paired with the RF200-800. And as you guys all know, the autofocus works great on the Canon R5, but just like with all mirrorless systems with the subject detect, they can miss. And even the R5, just like the R7, like I talked before, is if it misses your subject, like it did a few times these swans, when they get their heads down or move their heads, the subject detect will kind of lose them, or it will just think it sees something else. If I'm holding the autofocus and if it jumps to something else or completely misses, goes behind it or in front of it, it's best not to keep holding the autofocus button down, because it may come back to it, but it may just keep trying to go somewhere else. Again, like I said before, and you'll see it in this footage, is I go, it misses, I let my finger off. Once I see it start to miss, doesn't jump right to the subject like instantly, I let off and hit the button again. I've just become that habit on all my Canon cameras and my Nikon cameras. As soon as it misses, I let off, and then I go back to it. And almost always, the second time I grab it, and if the second time I don't grab it, then I single point it. So the Canon R5 does do the same as the Canon R7. Not as frequent, but it still will do the, just, you know, get off the subject and go somewhere else and try to come back and go crazy. So my best advice is let off the button, go back onto the button. But other than that, the autofocus just snaps. These swans right now with the snow, they're the same color as the snow in the far bank, and I'm getting low. When you get low and you've got the barrel of that lens on the snow and you're shooting flat across the water, that's one of the more difficult things for autofocus to figure out, because it's got all this range right there in that small sliver to decide where do I need to focus. And for the most part, it grabbed every time. The autofocus, this guy was snappy. This lens, the motors are great in it. It just jumps right to it. So again, just like with the R7, the autofocus with, you know, the motors and everything, this lens is fantastic, and it pairs extremely well with this R5. Just great, just awesome. So I had a treat yesterday. I had my friend Cassie, she was out shooting with me also, and we came out looking for the swans, and they were on the river, not on the lake this time. And then we decided to go look elsewhere, just search around, and we got down farther on the Kenai. We stopped at a couple spots, and we found a treat, one of the animals I love catching all the time, the birds that is, and that's the American dipper. These guys are so cool. They just kind of bounce the whole time, and they'll go in the water and pop out of the water. Just an incredible bird, one of my favorite birds to catch. It's just so fun to watch them bounce. And what's really cool was when they close their eye, their top and bottom eyelid is white, and when they close it, you can see a white, it looks like they have a white eye, but it's just their eyelids. It's really cool. But they were fun. Again, the autofocus worked great. The counters were so quick with them over there then gone. The first few times I didn't get my settings right, and it was a little bit darker than needed to be. But once I get my settings dialed in for the exposure, because it's so dark out here, guys, I keep telling you it's so dark. Getting your exposure right, especially with snow, so it doesn't look gray and blue, is really tough. So once you kind of get it set for where you're at with the lights like that time, the images came out pretty good, really nice. Because they're such a bouncy little bird, so it's amazing you can always get any good shots of them. But really incredible encounter. So now let's talk a little bit about image quality of this lens with the R5, because now we're shooting full frame instead of crop sensor, and I think the image quality looks great. The images, I haven't looked at the ones I've shot today, and I think today I got some of my better swan shots. I'll include them in here to show you what they look like. But what we shot over the last several days that I've been out here chasing eagles and dippers and swans and ducks and stuff, everything's looked just great. Again, if I get my exposure right, it looks fantastic, because on dark days it's really hard. But the image quality, I can see good feather detail. these swans were, I mean, a few times they're out there, but 800 millimeters of this, like I said, it makes it so nice just to enlarge that bird in the frame. And you know, there's not a whole lot of detail in swan's feathers, especially in a darker day, but I think the detail looks good on these. I think the water, the color rendition, because they're brought right out of the camera, right in Lightroom, no camera profiles. I still don't have the camera profile. Come on, DxO, get me my lens profile for this lens. I need it because I need my DxO. But even with that, the noise is negligible. It's not bad at all. The colors aren't bad at all, but I can't wait till I get the camera profile for this guy, or the lens profile. I keep saying camera, I mean lens profile, because it'll be so much better when I get the right rendition of that color and the sharpness and the noise. But even right now where they're at, it looks incredible to me. This lens, to me, has really kind of outkicked what I thought of it. My expectations of the lens were, it's going to be good, it's going to be sharp. But I didn't think that 800 millimeters and this lens of being able, you know, move into that 600 to 800 millimeters on days like today where it's really, really dark was going to be that good. I thought it was going to be really passable and workable, but I didn't think it was going to be where I feel like I could take this lens out instead of my 500 f4, especially on good light days, and be able to run this lens all day long and be happy about it, not wish that I'd had a different lens that I was using at the time. And that speaks wonders of this lens, because let's say I'm out shooting bears in Kenai. I want to take my 500 f4, right? Because that's my best lens, my most expensive lens that tried, you know, it works. It's a workhorse, and I, you know, shoot those more wide aperture when things get, you know, farther out there. But I would have no qualms taking this lens out for bears, because f8, f9, really, it's a bear. I need more. I need that. I was shooting f8 a lot when I was out in Kodiak this year and Katmai the year before. So I really think this lens, because of the image quality I'm getting out of this that I've shot here the last few days. When I was in Homer for 4 or 5 days, the days I shot prior to that, we were out shooting the horrible snow. I had somewhat decent light at times, a couple, you know, few hours when I was in Homer. But since then, I've had no light. It's gray. I mean, I don't know if you can tell how gray it is. These cameras kind of brighten things up. It is, you see these clouds behind me. They're nasty, nasty stuff. But it is done really well. So I really, with all my rambling, what I'm trying to say is the image quality in this thing, I think, is really, really good. A lot better than I expected it to be. I don't really usually have a lot of expectations on lenses, like even the 180 to 600 that Nikon released, which is a fantastic lens too. Both of them, I thought, you know, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be kind of like the Tamron 150 to 600, the Sigmas, you know, where they're good, they're sharp enough, but they're not anything that really makes you go wow or something like that. But they still take great sharp images, but you got to do a little more work with them. I thought that's really what we're going to get, and on both the Nikon and the Canon lens in this range. And you know, Sony had their 2 to 600, which everybody loved. Of course, I have a Sony camera, but I don't shoot the Sony for wildlife. It's this stuff right here. But I've used that lens on testing some Sony cameras out, and it's a good lens. I knew it was a good lens. I'm just waiting for Nikon and Canon to do something kind of like it. The 2 to 500 of Nikon, the F mount was close. But these two, the Nikon and this Canon lens, have outperformed what I thought they were going to do. And I've been really extremely, extremely happy with both of them. Couldn't be happy. I don't regret buying either one of them. I love owning both of them. And they both stay in the vehicle. They're with me at all times. The 500 f4 is usually the truck too. But these zooms are the ones that usually are going out with me on the walks, and not the 500 f4. A lot of it because I'm having to review them, but the other part is because they're just good. They're good workhorse lenses. I'm happy with them. So I guess that leads me to the next thing, is about how does this really perform the full frame with the 200-800? Because, you know, with the R7, we're really reaching out there. So you can really reach out close and touch something that's like, even these swans when they're halfway across the river, which is probably 50, 60 yards probably, all the way across to where these swans have now swam to. It's probably 125, 140 yards from me. I can still shoot them, but there won't be a whole lot of detail from here. But yeah, so the full frame with the 2-800 is incredible, just incredible. To be able to shoot that 800 millimeters is just great. To be able to jump it from 6 to 8 and work that range just makes wildlife photography, especially small birds, because you know, a lot of times when it's a small bird, when you're shooting them, that's why I don't like shooting small birds as much. They'll get in these trees and they'll be about halfway higher up, and you know, when you got 500 millimeters or you know, around there, it's really sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I saw the ducks just scatter, and what it was is a younger eagle was coming through there and swooping around and cut down low to him. I don't know if he's trying to hit one or what, but I had to get a couple shots of him going by. It's just so dark right now, I don't know how well they'll come out, but I had to give it a try anyway. The swans don't even care, they're just sitting over there ignoring it. They're so big, they know the eagle's not going to get them, so really cool. But yeah, I don't really know what more to say about the R5. We already know the R5 is a really good camera. Its autofocus still works great. I can tell with the R5, you know, with its age, it's still really sticky and still really good. But with the new Nikon 4.10 software, sorry, got another eagle. Sorry. These, you know, the river's running this way, so these eagles and other birds will just be coming towards the lake that way, or they're coming away from the lake, and just saw him caressing over the top of these trees. Couldn't really get quick enough to get the good shot on him, because I don't like shooting up on their, you know, from the bottom on their bellies much. I like to get them side or head shots, things like that. But so it was a try, but I failed. Just wasn't quick enough when I saw him coming. So yeah, I don't know what more to say about the R5, the 200-800. It is fantastic. I think the video and the images should, you know, stand on their own, because really what I like to do in reviews is show you what it does and not just tell you what it does. I want to give you the examples and the images here. We're not going to go through a big long image review on this one. We already did it with the R7. The images look great. I did already show you some images, but it's just fantastic. So this lens does really good. So with the R5, if you guys have the R5, this lens works great with it. Again, getting 600, 800, if you're a bird guy, shooting a lot of birds, a lot of smalls, man, I don't know why you wouldn't own this lens. Again, you gotta work the light, because you know, you got days like I'm here right here. You gotta really try to figure out a way to get light. You know, when you got f9, you gotta find somewhere else to get light. But that depth of field at f9 is fantastic for what I'm doing out here. But I am losing my light. It's getting dark. I've got about a 2-hour run back into Anchorage from here. So I'm gonna get up out of here, head back into Anchorage. Guys, thanks for watching the channel. Oh, I almost forgot. We hit 11,000 subscribers. Thanks guys, just awesome. So the print giveaway. So I'm doing the wolf print from when that big snowstorm we had for the very first video in this. So to get the giveaway on this one, tell me what your favorite bird is to shoot where you're at. What is your favorite bird to shoot? Leave that in the comments in here, and that'll get you the entry for the wolf print. So there you go. And guys, like always, like, subscribe, all those fun things. Think about becoming a member. As always guys, until next time, get outside, go run that shutter.